My first guest today, who I'm so deeply honored to share, is a talent manager, media producer, mentor, cancer survivor, and literal physical angel here on earth who has worked with people all over the industry of all types of status, and not only will share his own personal life and details about the industry, but about how his challenges have helped him become not only a better human being, but a better manager, a better father, and a better person in general. Please welcome my good friend, Nick Martinez. Nick, thank you so much, brother, for being my first guest here.
Sai, I'm honored.
Thank you.
I'm honored to be here, man. Your first episode, and I get to be the first guest. I mean, how lucky am I?
I mean, I'm very lucky because the experience that you share is something that I feel like a lot of people, especially the younger generation, need nowadays. So I really appreciate it, and I'm so grateful for this experience. So thank you.
Oh, no, you're welcome. I mean, I know like a lot of the conversations that we had leading up to this podcast did evolve around, mentoring and just the journey. You know what I mean, just the journey. Because a lot of us, we want to succeed in life, and we have goals.
Yes.
And there's, desires that we have to succeed, right? But the hardest part is, how do you get there?
Yes.
And who do you talk to, and who do you trust? And, it's like a puzzle.
Yes.
And it's like putting a puzzle together blindly.
Yes.
Because when you meet somebody for the first time, everybody, like they say, everybody always puts their best foot forward, right? But a lot of times, that's pretty much all you're going to get.
Yes.
What they're offering is the best they have to offer.
Yes, exactly.
And then after that, it just kind of diminishes from there.
Exactly.
So the hardest part is finding the people, the right group.
Exactly. And, I just want to share with the audience that the reason why I invited Nick here today is not just because of the person that he is, but because of his experience in his work. He is a music producer. He's a life mentor. He has so much experience. And that's what I kind of want to talk to you about first, Nick, is can you explain to me, being in the entertainment industry and also going to help people out, how did you manage to integrate both lifestyles together when the entertainment industry is very demanding? It comes from a very thick skin and there's a certain personality and a certain level that you have to go up to. How did you manage to kind of not lose your core integrity in your heart while being in that industry?
Man, that's a really good question. It really is, because that's one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
Is not give in to all the, for the lack of a better word, all the BS that evolves
must
around
be very
this
difficult.
industry. It is. I mean, and like I said, finding the right people, that's the first thing. And that's been the hardest thing. I've been around this business for over 30 years, and the biggest challenge that I've ever faced was finding the right people. You know what I mean? Because everybody, if they see that you have something going and there's it has potential and it looks like it's going to grow, they will say anything it takes to get to be part of that project, because they see that they could ride your coattail in a sense, right? So keeping your integrity and your demeanor, like keeping that all intact is hard. Because there are times when you want to give up. Yes. There are times when you want to just throw in the towel. There was a period of time in my life when I first started in this music industry, and everybody loves great ideas, right? And I'm full of great ideas. So what happened was I started thinking, this person they're cool with me. They're a good friend. I know them really well. We've been working together for X period of time now. Like, hey, I have an idea. Yeah. Oh, really? Let me, share it with me. Yeah. Then you share the idea, and then next thing you know, that idea is moving down the road without you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So then you learn kind of like to keep your mouth shut, not say anything, not share your ideas. But then opportunity comes along, and it's like, okay, do I say something or not say something? Am I going to be part of this project? Am I going to get left out? Yeah. So I learned immediately, one, be patient. Because if you spend enough time with somebody, you'll get to know who they really are, right? For sure. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I learned, if I have an idea and I really believe in this idea, and I believe in God and I believe in myself, right, then I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to let anybody deter me from this idea that I have. Yes. Because, I could bring you an idea and say, hey, Simon, I have this really great idea for a water bottle. Yeah. Right? water bottle. Okay. So, and you might see the bottle as what I'm presenting it to you, but then you might have an idea.
Yeah.
What if we make it thinner right here so it feels better in your hand? And what if we put this kind of cap? Well, now my idea is just getting diminished now because now you got. So the best way that I found to do it is just to set everything the way I want it. This is the way I want to do this. This is the way I want to do that. And this is the way it's going to be finished.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Then what you do is you find the people that are willing to support your idea.
Yeah.
Now it starts to develop into what it is that you want.
Okay.
Instead of it getting diminished. So I had to learn, in a sense, not to listen to people.
Not to listen to people.
Yeah. Like if I'm focused on something and I know this is what I want to do.
Listen to yourself.
I stay focused with I believe in myself. I believe in my idea.
Okay.
So that was one of the ways that I got around.
Well, you say that, something that you said that's very important is that you have to have the right people around you, right? Mm-hmm. And being in big cities, especially like we are in LA, everybody wants a cut of something. Not everybody has a genuine heart like you, right? So when you have people around you and people with good intentions, they can actually build you up. My question to you is, since you're talking about this, it seems like God has always been really good to you, even in the hardest challenges and the conversations that we have. How have you been able to discern, basically, when you're working or talking with people, who's for your highest good and who's not?
Oh man, that's another good question, because sometimes you have to make decisions, like split-second decisions.
Yeah.
And really, after a while, Simon, like once you know the business and you understand how this business works, then you get to start to get a feeling for the character and the personalities of people that you meet. You know what I mean? And it's just really about finding good people. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you a really quick story. So my business partner and I went to a fundraiser for kids one time at a very, very popular venue. Mm-hmm. All right. It's worldwide known venue. Anyway, so obviously there's a lot of celebrities, a lot of people there. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys that showed up was a gentleman that was involved in writing a lot of hit songs for Celine Dion and Mariah Carey and people. And so when we started talking, his wife, or maybe it was his girlfriend at the time, I'm not sure, she asked us, what do you guys do in the music industry or in entertainment? And when I said music, she said, it was her boyfriend. She said, my boyfriend does music. I said, okay. And when she told me who he was, I was like, whoa, like I know that name. I know that person.
Yeah.
Then what happened was she said, well, the next time you guys do something or have an event, let me know and I'll bring him.
Okay.
I want you to meet him.
Okay.
And I was anxious to meet him. So we go to this event, we call them, invite them with us, they show up. And in the conversation, he asks me, like, what do you do in music? And are you a producer? And I said, well, I am a producer, but not on the level you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He goes, so what's your focus? And I said, I like finding new talent and I like developing that talent. Showing people how to get started in this business. And he said, oh my gosh, you're a glutton for punishment. He said, because that never ends up, like you get like 1 out of a million.
Yeah.
And I said, it is a lot of invested time, and it doesn't always develop the way you want it to. And he said, so is that what drives you? And I said, no, that's not what drives me. And he said, what drives you? And I said, somebody told me when I first started in this business, and this is a true story, somebody told me, you're too nice, this business is going to eat you up, and you're never going to get anywhere. And I said to myself, I refuse to believe that. Like, I don't think I have to change who I am.
You don't want to accept that in your reality.
No, heck no. Like, that's not me.
Yeah.
And I know that in any business that you work in this world, that there's good people. You just got to find them, right?
Yeah.
And so he validated that for me. He said, is that what drives you? And I said, no, this is what I do. And he said, somebody told me I was too nice to work in this business.
Yeah.
And this is what he said. He said, Nick, do you want to know what happens to nice people in this business? I said, I'd love to. And he said, nice people find other nice people, and they do business together.
Wow.
And at that point, I knew that I needed to change the people around me.
And you found the right person just by him saying that.
At that point, I told my business partner, we got to cut our tail.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of the people that are just hanging on, that are trying to ride our coattail, that want to follow us to these events or want to be part of this or part of that. We need people that are willing to work with us, not people that are just willing to hang
Exactly.
out, right? So that changed a lot for me. And it took me years. I mean, I was probably 20 years into this industry before I met that man.
Yeah.
You know?
And I could say that that's actually spiritually, that's kind of a dying process, because when you're forged in the fire like that, having to surrender what everybody says around you, it's not just something that reflects your outer world, but now you're like, have to go within and trust your own intuition and trust that the divine has a plan. Like, okay, I'm going to do something differently, which is what a lot of people are scared to step into do. But know that when you fall back, despite what everybody says, you got saved at the last second. Right. And you're always going to find your people. So how has that shaped you in that situation? How is spirituality and consciousness of your your intuition and your higher self, how has that played a role in your business, and how has that affected you in a positive way?
Oh, you know what?
And did you come from a spiritual background to begin with?
No, I didn't. As a matter of fact, I was focused on religion before this, okay? And so, you know, I'm not saying religion is a bad thing, because it did keep me in line, and it did give me a set of values and some guidelines, right? But I didn't really understand what it meant to be fully immersed in spirituality versus religion. Okay, so once I realized and I learned, and it started with balance first, all right, because my kids, my wife, my family, they call me a workaholic, right? But I love what I do. And so to me, it's not work. It's like I'm living life, right? And so first thing I had to do was I had to find balance. I had to find balance in my life. I had to find balance in work. I had to find balance at home. I had to find balance with my family. And how I did that was I started to look at myself in my work life and say, am I giving too much here and not enough over here? And so then I had to create that balance. So setting a schedule, setting parameters for myself helped me find that balance. Then I looked at my relationship with my wife and said, am I giving her the time that she deserves? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing as a husband? And then I found that balance. So now I'm telling her, like, Pam, here, I'm going to set aside this time for us. You know what I mean? And then with family, like, so, you know, Sundays are sacred for a lot of people. I mean, it's like their day off. They worship, they go to church. For me, it's family. It's God. Always God is in my life, always, right? 24/7. But it's family on Sundays. So I set that time aside with my kids and my grandkids, my great-grandson, my parents, whoever's available that Sunday, that's who we spend time with. Sometimes it's us going fishing, you know, my brother and I and my grandson and my great-grandson, or friends, you know what I mean? So it started out with just finding balance. Once I found balance and I was able to control my schedule, my time, my emotions, my effort, my energy, you know, I wasn't completely draining myself in one area. So, and then decisions, you know, like, am I gonna commit to doing something, and is that gonna take time away from the other part of my life where I've already established balance? You know, and sometimes you have to sacrifice. You do. You know, I mean, this is a business where when duty calls, you show up. And you work until the job is finished. You know what I mean? You're not here because you're like part of a production. And look what I'm doing, you know. I'm doing something you're not, or I'm doing something you wish. It's not about that. This is real work. You know what I mean?
Well, that's so interesting that you say that. And the reason why I ask you about how have you integrated your spiritual life into it is first you're saying balance. So the awareness of having that balance first, that you need to have that balance. But the problem is, and a lot of people, or most people, when they're focused just on getting to a certain destination, whether it be financially or whether it be going to work, they reject their spirit. And what happens is when they reject their spirit, they're either lacking in one aspect of their life, or they think their definition of success is based on how much money they have, whatever, but they forget that they have an awareness of, oh my God, I'm losing my family, or oh my God, I've lost how to treat people, I've lost how to talk to people. Was there any kind of pre-existing notion, or I should say pre-existing cognitive awareness that you had going into the entertainment industry? Any spiritual experience or any major life experience that caused you to always remember your truth despite, and promise yourself, no matter what field I'm going into, I'm always going to make sure I come with a good heart? Was there any pre-existing spiritual experience or any kind of experience you had before that's changed your perception?
That is a very, very good question, because it did. It started when I was young. I think I actually became aware of my surroundings and how valuable life was at the age of 23, 24. Like the end of the year when I was 23 years old, going into the year when I was becoming a 24-year-old.
Yeah.
So that transition between September and May, I ended up getting cancer.
Wow.
And they ended up sending me home with 8 weeks to live.
What?
And so just getting through that and understanding, at that point I understood just exactly how valuable life was.
Wow.
Because at that point in my life, 23 years old, I had a great job. I already had a young family. I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I had just bought my first house. I had 2 car payments. You know what I mean? I had a lot of responsibility.
That's a lot.
You know what I mean? But, you know, as a young person, when my girlfriend got pregnant, I realized that I wanted to be a dad.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to take this responsibility. Yeah. So I immediately went out. I got a full-time job. Because I was working part-time up until then, because I wanted to hang out with my friends, right? So I didn't want to be working full-time. But so that experience kind of at that age kind of grounded me and let me know that everything can be great one day, and then you go for a checkup at the doctor, and all of a sudden you're getting a biopsy, and the next thing you know, you're diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
Next thing you know, they're sending you home with 8 weeks to live.
Wow.
And so at that point, and then when they tell you you have a cancer in your body and there's a lot of it, but we don't know what you have, and we don't know how to treat it.
Wow.
So basically they're saying, we don't know what you have, go home and die.
The anticipation of the anxiety that can come just from hearing that.
I mean, I'll tell you, it like, I think my ex-wife at the time, when she drove me home, like, I was numb. Like, people say, like, oh God, I was numb. You really do become numb. Like, you're just, the impact of those words saying you're dying and you got 8 weeks to live.
Wow.
Those words, like, way heavy, man. Like, you just are lost. You're like, wow. So what am I going to do in the next 8 weeks?
Yeah.
And how do I make sure I get to everybody that I love?
Facts.
And how do I make sure that how do I make sure my kids are going to be taken care of? Like, you know, at the time I was worried about my ex-wife. Is she going to have enough money to survive? You know what I mean? Like,
facts.
So what happened was I went home and I took out this yellow tablet and I just started writing down all my insurances. You know, I had like a preferred stock plan at work. I had mutual fund account. I had a college fund for my kids. I had a savings account at my credit union. I had mortgage life insurance, so my house would be paid off in the event that one of us passed away. Like, she would have been totally good. The kids would have been good. And so I went through all of that. I'm writing that down. And then all of a sudden, my ex-wife told me, like, you need to pray. And I was like, pray? Like, man, I was raised in a Catholic church. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I got to say 1,000,000 Hail Marys, 1,000,000 Our Fathers. Like, how many prayers do you have to say to get rid of cancer? Right?
Yeah.
And then she just said, you just have to pray and talk to God. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, how am I going to talk to him? Like, he's not even here.
Yeah.
Right? And man, she started praying, and man, I'll tell you, it broke me. It literally broke me to the point where I completely lost my composure. I was struggling to breathe. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It hit me like a ton of bricks.
Wow.
Like, I'm not going to see my parents anymore. I'm not going to see my brother anymore. I'm not going to see my kids. I'm not going to see my aunts and uncles or all the people that mean something to me, my cousins. Like, I'm not going to see them anymore.
Wow. That just by you starting to pray, it was basically the foundation for like realizing, holy crap, this is actually it.
This is it.
But little did you know that was the beginning of
that was the absolute beginning, Simon. You're right. And
which is usually how it starts, with chaos.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
ironically.
Yeah. It's crazy that some of us literally have to be in turmoil.
You have to.
Like, there was somebody told me this saying when I first started taking my kids to this private school. I put them in a private school. And they said, when people hit rock bottom, there's only one way to look, right? Up.
Yeah.
And so that was it. That was rock bottom for me.
Yeah.
It was like, I've been in other situations in my life. I've been in jail twice.
Yeah.
And you would think, like, okay, being incarcerated, that you are going to be like, okay, I got to get my life together. That didn't even work. You know what I mean? Like, I was literally I was like not a good person. Well, like, compared to who I am now.
Yeah, no, I get you. And it probably, I want to touch on this cancer thing, because a lot of people, the difference between, I think, a lot of people versus what makes somebody stand in their sovereignty and not, is how are they going to react whenever they're in that fire? Are they going to have faith? Or are they just going to play victim to it? And that's the problem, because it makes it so hard to realize, how can I play a victim? Like, where was that line for you? Were you playing a victim? And I'm getting chills as I'm speaking, because were you playing a victim? And then you started, like, there's something that switched in you that was like, you know what? If I die, I die, but I'm going to fight this shit as hard as I can.
Yeah. So one thing that I can honestly say in my life growing up, I've never ever played the victim.
Okay.
Like, I've always taken responsibility head on, you know what I mean? And even, and sometimes it's scary. I work for some people that are very, very focused. They're very hardworking. They have a work ethic that's second to none. And so I'm always afraid of being the weak link. Like, I want to make sure I'm doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
Right. But sometimes when I do, like, when I screw up, I have to call them and tell them, like, hey, guys, guess what? I messed up. And, it's a hard thing to admit when you're wrong. But I've never ever played the victim. I've never ever said to myself, like, oh, woe is me. It's like, nah, man.
Which is a gift in itself, by the way, because even not playing the victim, many people don't realize this. You already had an advantage to stepping into your spirit, because when you play the victim, you can get caught up in that so easily.
Yes. And then people live in that.
They live in that.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it becomes a way of life for them.
And they think everything around them is basically, oh, why is this happening to me? Not realizing that they're unconsciously creating that same energy.
Yep, you're right.
And living in it. And my question to you is, so when you started praying, I want to touch more on the cancer thing a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no.
Because there's something that forged in you, right? Whenever you started doing the prayer, and that's such a good subject, because during my awakening too, not to take away from yours, that's what happened to me too. I was facing death right in the face. And I had to say myself, I'm going to find out if God is real or I'm going to die trying. With you starting to do that prayer, I want to know the exact sequence of what happened next during that process of saying to the doctor telling you, you only have 8 weeks to live. How did it get there? And how did you live your life after that? And just what was the result of all of that?
Okay,
I want to hear this story, and I think the audience needs to hear this.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It would be a disservice to not share this.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm happy that you asked me this, because I don't really share my story with a lot of people.
Thank you.
The reason why is because I feel like I can't take credit. I cannot take any credit for me being here. Like it's all God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like because I literally was at the point where like they said, we don't know what you have. You got a lot of cancer in your body. Like from my lower abdomen up to my neck.
Oh, wow.
Was over 50% of my body was covered.
Are you serious?
With cancer. Yes. And that's why the doctor told me, he said, it's spreading awful fast. You have a lot of cancer in your body. You just need to go home. And so I went home. We prayed. And I was just so distraught. Like I just felt like I had been reduced to nothing. Mm-hmm. Right? And just humbled. Mm-hmm. You know, like extremely humbled. And then the phone rang. And I told my kids, I told their mom, I said, don't answer the phone. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't feel like talking. I just got home. I've been in the hospital. And she said, well, the kids are at my mom's and they miss you. And I was like, oh, answer the phone. So she answers the phone, and thank God she did, because it was a doctor. And he said, my name is Dr. Victor Randolph, and I just transferred to this hospital from another hospital. And I took a look at your case, and I think I know what you have. And I think I know how to treat it. And this was on a Friday. And I said, oh, I'll come right back.
Yeah.
Like, I'll come right back right now.
Yeah.
And he said, no, just stay home. Spend the weekend with your family. You've been through a lot. But make sure you're here Monday at 6 a.m. Fine, I'll be there. So Monday came around, I show up. And he explained to me, he said, you have a lot of cancer. And he said, and it's testicular cancer. He said, and had it been detected early, we would have been able to give you a treatment and we would have had great results. He said, but the fact that we waited so mm-hmm. long and it spread so much through your body, he said, I'm going to give you the strongest dose of chemo I've ever given anybody. Oh. He said, and he said, either your kidneys, your liver, your heart, something's going to suffer.
Oh, wow.
He said, because I've never, ever given anybody this strong a dose.
Wow.
And I was like, what do we got to lose?
Yeah, you know what do we got to lose?
Really, like, what do we got to lose? And
it's not like my life's on the line or anything.
Yeah. So I told him, I said, so what are we looking at? We're looking like maybe a 50-50 chance? And he said, no. I said, 60-40? No. 70-30. And he said, I'll give you 30%, but I'm being very generous.
Wow.
And I said, you know what? This is the God honest truth. I literally looked at him right in the face and I said, you could have given me 10% and I would have went with that.
Wow.
And he said, you need to keep up that attitude. He goes, you really need to keep that attitude. He goes, because it's going to be a rough ride. And I said, no worries. I'm ready for this. So I went through 4 treatments of chemo. I went into the hospital because I was pretty active around that time. I went in the hospital about 174, 175 maybe. And 4 months later, I came out about 127 pounds. And just skin and bones. I mean, I hadn't eaten really in 4 months, so to speak. And so, and the chemo made me extremely sick, like to the point where I literally, after the 3rd treatment, I gave up.
Wow.
I told my father, I said, you know what, Dad, I'm done. Like, I would just rather die.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this anymore.
Of course.
And it had depleted everything in me. And fortunately for me, my dad just said, no, you're not giving up. He said, I don't care if I have to pick you up and drag you over there myself. He said, you're going to go for this next treatment. And I fought him. You know, I was like, no, I'm not going. You can't make me get in the car. But he's my dad. You know what I mean? So when he said, get in the car, we're going, I was like, all right. You know, so we went. And thankfully, so what happened was after the first treatment, I didn't know this, all right? They did a CT scan, and then they went to start the second phase of the treatment. And then he said, I got to give you another CT scan. I said, okay, so one did another one, came back, did the second treatment, stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks, went home for 2 weeks, and then came back for my 3rd treatment, did a CT scan, And then he started treatment. Then he came back to me and said, we got to do another CT scan. And at that point, I'm like, okay, we did 2 after the first treatment. We did 2 after the second treatment. So I just said...
That's exhausting.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, doctor, if this isn't working, I just want to go home. Like, I'm losing time with my kids. I'm losing time with my family. And if it's not working, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
And I remember he pulled up a chair in the room. He pulled up a chair and he grabbed me by the arm and he said, I need to tell you something. I said, okay. He said, after the first treatment, half your cancer disappeared.
Don't lie.
No, I'm serious.
Don't lie.
He said, I don't know where it went. I don't know how it disappeared, but it disappeared. He said, after the second treatment, all the cancer disappeared except for a spot on your lung. And he said, I don't know where it went. I have no explanation for this. He said, but we're going to do this third treatment in hopes that it gets the spot. And I said, okay, so it's working. And he said, Nick, it's not supposed to work this way. And so we did the third treatment.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this no more. Then my father said, no, we're going to go do the last one. And so we did the last one. And then...
It was that painful, huh?
It was bad, Simon. It was bad. I'm not lying. I would never wish that type of therapy on anybody.
Yeah.
Like, it literally, it's killing you.
Yeah.
It literally kills the cells in your body.
Yeah.
And for months after I got the last treatment, like, if I walked into a room like this and I even smelled anything that remotely smelled like the medicine, then it would make me nauseated, right? And I'd have to run out.
Yeah.
And so there's 2 medicines. One's called bleomycin and the one's called cisplatin.
Okay.
And those 2 medicines are the ones that are the heavy hitters. They knock your socks off. You know, you could literally feel... So when they gave me the bleomycin and the cisplatin, he took this big syringe, right? Big, like a big tube. Mm-hmm. And it's like a yellowish color, the medicine. And they put it in through the IV, and I felt it. It's warm. You could feel it going up to your arm. And then when it hits your heart, it's like an explosion. It goes from your head to your toes like instantly.
Wow.
And you feel the heat. And then you start to itch. But you can't scratch your body because at that point, every time you scratch your body, it leaves scars. And so I had like scars on my back from where I'd itch my back, like in the middle of the night or whatever.
Wow.
And so it's rough. I mean, I had, at one point, the IV, when I was sleeping at night, the IV came out and my arm literally looked like it was burnt, like I had burned my arm. And so I'd had people asking me all the time, like, yo, bro, did you burn your arm? What happened? And so my one friend, Alex, told me, he goes, come on, bro, we're going to go take care of that. And I go, what do you mean? So he took me to a tattoo shop and they tattooed over the but it was the medicine that literally like kind of killed my skin, you know? So, just different things like that. I mean, but after the 4th treatment, and he told me what happened. So I had to go back, every 30 days for 6 months. And then after that, I went back, every 6 months once. So on my 5-year visit, I went back, and of course we're 5 years older. My doctor's 5 years older. I knock on his door. His door's open, but he was writing on his desk, and I knocked on the door, and he turned around, and he looked up, and I remember he was a tall man. He got this big smile on his face, and he got up, and he came around the side, and he hugged me, and he was like way taller than me, so he put his hands on my shoulder like this, and I remember him looking at me like right in the face, and he said, I'm a man of medicine and science. And I said, I do know that. And he said, and I am not supposed to say this. And I said, okay. He said, you are absolute living proof that God performs miracles today. And he said, because all of this that happened was not supposed to happen.
What was the emotion running down through your spirit whenever that happened?
Man,
what just went through you?
It scared me. It scared me because at that moment I realized that I had gone through this miraculous healing when the doctor said it. Like, I had people telling me this, when I would take my kids to church or when I would share, like, because I don't go out and share, like, this story with masses. Like, if I run into somebody and they have a relative, or if they're dealing with cancer, then of course I share my story. Like, hey, keep fighting the fight. Right?
Yeah.
But it scared me when he told me that, because at that point I realized, like, I'm here on this earth for some reason.
Of course.
God didn't leave me here for nothing.
Of course.
But now, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing, and when and how? And nobody taught me, like, how to use this, like how to deal with it. All they do is like, hey, God's gonna use you, and then they leave, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad you told me that.
You literally saw, and you were all like, you were probably came from a little bit of a religious family, but that was probably your first experience of seeing God firsthand work directly towards you, right?
Simon, I literally saw God.
Yeah.
Because when I first went into the hospital, what happened was I started experiencing stomach discomfort, like food poisoning.
Yeah.
And so I went to the doctor, and they told me I had the flu, and they sent me home. And I kept going. And finally, I was watching Monday Night Football with he's my ex-father-in-law, but I still call him my father-in-law.
Yeah.
Such a good dude. But anyway, I was watching football with him, and he had a TV in his patio. We were outside, and I looked up. I was watching television, and I turned my head to answer somebody that asked me a question. And when I turned back like this, I felt like I'd pulled a muscle in my neck.
Yeah.
And then my ex-father-in-law looked at me and said, "What's wrong with your neck?" I go, "What do you mean?" He said, "You got a lump there, or swelling." And I said, "What are you talking about?" So I got up and I went into the restroom and looked in the mirror, and I had this big tumor right here.
Okay.
But I didn't know it was a tumor.
Yeah.
And so I went to work the next morning and told my boss, like, "Hey, when I'm done with my work, I'm going to go go get this checked."
Yeah.
And her father-in-law was the head of medicine, or internal medicine, at the VA hospital. So she had some experience already. And she looked at me and she goes, "What kind of work you have?" I just have these orders right here. I'm going to go knock them out. And she said, let me see those. And I went like this, and she goes, grabs them, go to the doctor. I said, "I don't want to leave you guys hanging. Let me just finish my work." She goes, "Just go to the doctor and call me." I said, "All right." So when I went there, the doctor saw the tumor, and he said, "I'm going to send you down to admitting so we can do a biopsy in the morning." And it scared me. I was like, "What do you mean? Like, you want me to go into the hospital now?"
Yeah.
Like, I got my kids at a babysitter. I got my wife said, like, I can't just go admit myself like that. So it scared me. So I told him, I can't do that. I have to go home and take care of some stuff. And he said, "Well, come back tomorrow." He goes, "Come back tomorrow morning. I'm going to set you up for admitting. We need to do this biopsy, like, right away." So I did. So I went back the next morning. We did the biopsy, and that's when it all started. But it just scared me, because I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know why I was here, and why God left me here. Because up until that point, Simon, I was pretty edgy. I mean, I had been in a lowrider car club, had been in a gang, had been arrested twice, and went to jail for just crazy stuff. Yeah. And I didn't feel like I was worthy. You know what I mean? There was a little kid that was in the room next to me when when I got diagnosed, and he had testicular cancer. And I remember I left after my first treatment, and I came back to the hospital, and they put me right back in the same room, where I was at before. And I asked the nurse, like, how's the little guy doing? And she just looked at me and shook her head, like, and I looked at her and I go, "What do you mean?" And she goes, he didn't make it. Oh. And I was like, so that even threw me more into a tailspin, because then I thought, okay, here I am, not a good person. You know what I mean? I call myself not a good person because I was doing things. I was, smoking weed, drinking, hanging out with my friends, just not doing the things I should have been doing.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, like, why am I here? And this poor little kid that's innocent is not here. Yeah. Like, he deserves to be here more than I do. Yeah. So I started to kind of question myself. And then I started, at one point in my life, I got a little discouraged. because I thought, if God really left me here for this reason, then why is nothing happening? And then I started having like marital problems, and then that turned into financial problems because it was. Then I started thinking for a minute, like, am I here because, is this like my purgatory, like
karma?
Yeah,
like, are you filling out negative karma or something?
Like, okay, did I get left here so I could suffer through this? Like, maybe I'm looking at thinking that I got left here for a good reason.
Yeah.
So I struggled with that.
Which you're still in the middle of your awakening process, so you're figuring it out. So that could be.
I'm trying to figure it out, man, and I'm asking questions. I'm talking to people, and it's crazy because I would talk to people that are really, really, like, immersed in their faith, right? Mm-hmm. And they always had one set of answers for me. Oh, God performed a miracle in your life. God's going to do great things.
But
that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah. I'm looking for an answer, like, why am I doing here?
Yeah.
Why am I here? And, you go to meet with different pastors of different churches and they have the same answer. People of faith have the same answer. You talk to people that don't practice any kind of faith or religion or spirituality, you know what their answer was to me? Heaven doesn't want you and hell's afraid you'll take over. That's why you're here. And I'm like, okay, that's a great answer for, like, what does that mean to me?
Little do you know that you could talk about pastors, priests, rabbis, leaders, not realizing that God was choosing you to be your own savior. Yeah. God was choosing you to be the messenger. You don't need a priest. You don't need a pastor. Right. You were figuring that out for yourself.
I had to.
That's why you couldn't even get the answer. Many people want the answers outside of them. And when they don't get it, they're like, what the hell is going on? Not realizing that he's forging you to be his own prophet.
Yeah.
For others.
I realized that I am the answer.
Yeah.
I am. It's me.
You don't need somebody else telling you.
I don't need anybody.
But that process is kind of like, a BITCH.
But it's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's scary because leading up to that, where I feel like completely independent. Like, I work for people and I love and respect those people a lot. And they're family to me. And I treat my work as though I was working for my family. Like, that's how dedicated I am. But just trying to find myself, it took a long time. Mm-hmm. And for me to be able to stand on my own 2 feet, knowing that it's just me and God.
Yeah.
And that God's got my back at all times. And, I will say you even test that. Like, because I thought to myself, okay, if God really has my back, then let's see what happens here. And then you learn very quickly not to challenge God, right?
Yeah. Like
this one church I used to go to, the pastor used to say, your arms are too short to box with God.
Yeah.
Right?
You'll never win. Yeah.
You'll never win. So then I realized, okay, what does God want me to be? Do I have to be the kind of person that's going around hitting people over the head with a Bible?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, that's not me.
Yeah.
So basically what it was is it's like, you know what? Just be the person that God intended you to be.
Exactly.
Like, don't judge anybody. I'll tell you a crazy story. So I went to go, and I don't even know if we can air this, so if we can't, you can cut it out. But I went to go for a Q&A one time it was maybe like 200 people, with Tommy Chung, who's obviously everybody knows from Cheech and Chong, right? Mm-hmm. And man, I'll tell you, I went there just out of curiosity to see like what he was going to talk about. And obviously I expected for him to talk about his career and how it developed and some of the challenges and some of the funny experiences that he had going on and stuff, you know what I mean? But out of that whole evening, he said one thing that literally changed everything about how I was approaching, right? He was talking and talking and talking. He had cancer, or he still does, maybe, I don't know. And if he does, I'm praying for him. And if he got healed, thank God. All right. But he said that in all the years that he was entertaining people and had this major success going on, that he could never find peace in his life. Right. And I thought, that's a challenge for a lot of people. A lot of people can't find peace. And what he said was, he said, you know where I found peace? And everybody's just sitting there chilling. He goes, in the Bible. And man, when he said that, like, I'm not lying. I sat up in my chair and I'm like, I got to hear this. This is Tommy Chong, like the king of weed smokers, right? And I'm like, what? First of all, I didn't know he read the Bible. But secondly, I was like, I want to know what he's talking about. And you know what he said? He said, in the Bible, it says that we should not judge people. He said, and the minute I quit judging people is the minute I found peace.
Wow.
And, you know, that changed a lot for me. Because I realized, like, why are you worrying about somebody else? That's their walk. That's their challenge. That's their relationship with God. Just accept that person for who they are and love them the way God would want you to love them.
So much easier said than done, right?
It is. You're right. Because, you know, we're humans.
Yeah.
We have emotions. We have ideas. We have, you know, thoughts.
Especially living in this modern world, it's not like we're out meditating in the forest all the time, right?
Right,
and just being monks. We're literally being tested with our strength and our faith. And but the acceptance, though, Nick, that you say is, I realize that too, is acceptance is not just love and light. Acceptance is also learning to be in your authority.
Very true. Very true.
Coming from a loving place, but the definition is, what is love? Is it love if I'm going to enable this person to keep acting like this because I don't want to hurt their feelings? Or is it more love if I'm being very direct with them and telling them, I don't like the way you treat me. I don't like the way you're talking to me. Because when you're actually more honest and authoritative from a loving space, that can start breaking their ego to start to change if they have if they choose their free will.
Yeah, if they're willing to accept, you know, like we always talk about this in production, you know, are you willing to accept constructive criticism openly? You know what I mean? And everybody always says, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm willing. But you know what? A lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
You know, they take offense to it.
Of course.
And, you know, my business partner and we've been working together since 2000, so for 25 years. And we've done a lot. I mean, we were part owners of a post-production company. We did movie trailers for Sony, and you know, I've worked around some great people in the music industry that are multiple Grammy winners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And met some great people in this industry. And so my business partner and I have this agreement that we started from the very beginning 25 years ago. And basically what it is this. If I'm doing something wrong and you see that I'm doing something wrong, please tell me. Okay, and be brutally honest with me.
Yeah.
Because if you don't tell me, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, assuming that I'm doing the right thing when you could be helping me.
Which when he tells you, that's actually authentic love.
It is.
It is authentic love.
Because he cares.
Yeah.
Right? And I do the same thing for him.
Yeah.
You know, there's been instances where like he made this major decision in his life. And before he told me, he said, I'm about to make this decision in my life. And I was like, oh, man, that's pretty heavy, right? So I remember I told him, hey, let's go get some lunch today. He said, all right. So we went to go get lunch. And I sat down with him. I said, look, I don't want to get into your business, and whatever you do in your life is your personal business. But I am concerned because I care about you and I love you as a brother. So I'm going to ask you some questions that I want you to think about.
Okay.
And so I started going through these questions with him and telling him what's going to happen if this happens. What are you going to think? How are you going to feel if this happens?
Yeah.
And how are you going to feel if you're confronted with this scenario? And at the end of the lunch, he looked at me and he said, nobody else would have asked me those questions. And I said, because nobody else cares about you or your kids or your wife. Like nobody cares about your family.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So from that point on, we always shared that same.
So simple, right? It's so simple. And many people.
The hardest part is willing to accept the constructive criticism, though. You know what I mean? It's like you're challenging my thoughts or my actions. And I always told him there's a reason why. Because I might see something that you don't see.
Yeah.
And if I don't bring that to your attention in a loving way, then you're never going to know. And I could literally watch you crash and burn when I know I could have helped you.
Exactly.
So that's the hard part in I think in any relationship.
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I have a pretty open relationship like that.
Yeah.
Communication-wise, where, you know, I'll tell her, like, you know, what you just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
You know, and then a lot of times both of us will look at each other and go, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. You know, then you feel bad and you're trying to make up for, but if you just don't have an open line of communication, then you're destined for disaster.
And be willing to, this is the key thing, be willing to accept your ego death.
Yep.
And be willing, the most important thing, and I think for the audience to understand, is that whatever you want to do, no matter how much you want to up-level spiritually, mentally, and physically, you have to let your ego die. Even if you don't agree with it, if you don't let your ego die and you don't walk through that fire, you are never going to face it 100%. You are never going to face it. And I want to ask you something too.
Yeah.
You told me something about, you know, you see that kid who, I think we've had a conversation about this before. You saw that kid who didn't live, who had cancer, right? And you went through all these different emotions. My question to you is, we can go deep in the spirituality of why things happen. You know, we could talk about soul contracts, why everybody's purpose is here. My question is, have you forgiven yourself for judging yourself and judging your process?
Yeah. So that's, I think that's where you find happiness, like within yourself. You know, I run into people all the time and I see them and I think to myself, that person's never going to be happy in life, because I can tell that they're not happy with themselves. Yeah. Right. And so it took me a while to figure out that if God has forgiven me for everything that I needed forgiveness for, and if he left me here on this earth and continues to bless me with good people, right? You and the people that are running this production, right? If he left me here and he surrounded me with good people, then I need to accept the fact that I'm worthy of this. I'm worthy of living. Yeah. I'm worthy of everything that I've been given. But I think that the flip side of that is actually not necessarily forgiving myself and accepting now, you know, what I've been given or who I am, but it's also seeing the value in things around me. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, the value in having grandkids, mm-hmm. and having a great grandson and having kids. You know, our kids are adult children. I mean, we have 3 daughters and 1 son. But still, to me, they're my kids. Like, I don't look at them as adults. I respect them and love them as adults. And I know that they have their own families and they make their own decisions, and I never get in their way. But I think it was more about accepting who I am, and understanding that this is who God made.
And who are you to judge God's decision, right?
Right.
But my question to you is, when you say God, right? Because I love this question I'm about to ask you. When you say God, me personally, I have my own opinions of the word God, right? Or my own knowing. When you think of God, what is God to you? How would you describe him, even though it is indescribable in many ways? Yeah. How would you, just tell me, what is God to you? How do you describe?
A higher power.
Okay.
Like, I don't identify, like, I have my own version or idea of what God is, but to me it's more of a feeling. Yeah. It's more of something, it's like a spirit that's embedded in you. Because when you've gone through challenges in life and you know that there's no way in the world you should be here, there's no way in the world that should have happened, you know what I mean? And you know that it had to come from somewhere else, right? And if it came from somewhere else and it helped you, or it allowed you to get through whatever challenges you're dealing with, it had to come from a higher power.
Some things you just can't make up. You know, you just can't make up. And people try to do it. They'd be like, oh, well, that was just luck, or the atoms and the cells in my body made me feel good. Like, no. That's the problem. The difference between science and spirituality and just awareness is that science always needs to prove something based on, you know, the method, based on scientific fact, but you know, spiritualists, people who are in touch with God, they have their own proof by experience. They have my own proof, and without the experience, you're never going to understand. No matter how much you try to explain to a person how God is real or how important this is, they're never gonna come to terms with it unless they actually agree with it.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And that's when I think a lot of us, we get forged in the fire. Relating to you, I got really badly affected by a prescription medication called finasteride, which did damage to my nervous system. And I did a lot of Molly during that time. I just dropped out of school, and a lot of men have killed themselves from this drug. Yes. And, you know, my mom knows this. My mom has seen the toughest battles. And every day I was literally dying because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I was looking at God. I was like, I'm going to see if you're real or I'm going to die trying. Like I said, just by my faith alone, just by me surrendering to it, it was a spirit that was already within me. I didn't say it healed me, but just by me surrendering, that's when the whole awakening happened. And that's when all the shit started. And I'm not saying good shit. I'm saying that's when it came. The spirit came through me in October of 2018 while I was healing from this, you know, the getting off the drug, because I found out what it did to people. Right. Bad side effects. The spirit came through me, and it said, like, the voice of God came through me channeled and said, Simon, you're going to be a leader, but you have to understand what this is like to go through it. And they're like, this is going to be over soon, they said to me. I've never had a download like that. Little am I here thinking soon is going to be like, oh, hell yeah, 2 months, 3 months, we're going to be good. Yeah. No, it's been a process for 7-8 years.
Yeah, no, I believe it.
You know?
It is. I mean, like for me, like just, you know, I got diagnosed with cancer at 23, and it literally took me years.
Yeah.
I'm talking a lot of years to kind of understand why I'm even here, or what my purpose is, or what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Just supposed to be who you, like you said, people want to find purpose in their spiritual life. They want to become a master, become a teacher, become a healer, not realizing that the gift is already within you just by being yourself.
You know, I think about what you say, because I hear people talk about that all the time. Like, I'm a master at this, or I'm a healer, or I'm a leader. And you know what? I'm just happy being a worker.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like, I love meeting new people. I love talking with people. I love helping people. You know, I'd rather be the worker.
Yeah.
You know, it just, to me, it seems like you just accomplish
Of course.
More,
of course. Well, yeah, because when you're going through such experience, and when you go through that, I've went through it. A lot of people, when they do get forged in the fire, everybody wants to make meaning of their life. So they get excited. They're like, oh my God, that's what I did. I went through this so I could be a leader. I went through this. Not realizing too that this is part of the process, and also realizing that in itself over time could put you in your spiritual ego if you are not careful with it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And the spiritual ego is very, very tricky, because if you don't have that discernment, you start thinking we're all chosen. A lot of us are chosen in some way, but you start thinking I am unconsciously better and I deserve this, not knowing that you're always this student, no matter what.
Yeah. That is a problem that a lot of people have, especially people that are new in a religion or a faith or 100%. Whatever. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, look what I found, and look how I am, and all of a sudden, like, I'm better than everybody else, 100%. Or I got all the answers and you don't. Yeah. And so the thing is that I'm always careful, because you never know. Like, I don't take anything for granted. Like, I learn from everybody. And so people ask me all the time, like, how do you stay involved in the music business or in entertainment? Like, how do you stay engaged? You know how I do it?
How?
By surrounding myself with younger people.